Hi everyone, welcome to this video where we will get a brief introduction to AWS development tools. My name is Aishwarya Sood. I am 3x AWS certified and also an AWS Academy accredited educator. I am working as a software engineer and AWS trainer, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn at this profile name. You can also scan the QR code to quickly view my profile. So let's begin with today's video, but before that let me tell you what you are gonna learn in this video. So there are a lot of tools and services that come into the development category of AWS. You will be learning all of them, the ones that you can see on the list here in today's session. It is not a deep dive session on each of these services. This is just a session to give you a brief overview of each of these services, just to give you an idea that this is the purpose of the service, so that you can get an idea, okay, this exists in AWS, so that next time when you are developing something on AWS, this will come to your mind, okay, I can use this service, I can use that service, because I have learned about it that this exists on AWS. We can have a deep dive lecture on with different services later on, but this lecture is just for giving you a brief overview of all of these development tools. Then I will also tell you how you can set up a CI/CD on AWS. Okay, so first we will be learning about AWS Cloud9. Let's begin with this service first. So what's AWS Cloud9? It's a cloud-based IDE that lets you run, debug and write your code with just a browser, and it includes a code editor, debugger and also a terminal. There is no additional cost to use AWS Cloud9. All charges are based on compute and storage resources that are consumed through associated AWS services such as Amazon EC2. Cloud9 supports several programming languages such as Python, JavaScript, Go, and PHP, and doesn't require a developer to install any additional files or configure the service to start a new project. In addition to its programming language support, this also enables the developers to build, edit and debug AWS Lambda functions. And this environment comes with a pre-configured support for software development kits, libraries and plugins that are required to build serverless applications. It makes collaborating on code easy. You can share your code, you can share your development environment with your team in just a few clicks and pair programs together. While collaborating, your team members can see each other type in real time and instantly chat with one another from within the IDE itself. And AWS Cloud9 gives you the flexibility to run your development environment on a managed Amazon EC2 instance or any existing Linux server that supports SSH. You can do development without even installing an IDE. So we are going to look at a screenshot of Cloud9 which shows a terminal access to AWS. As you can see here, this is the screenshot of Cloud9 IDE where a serverless application is being developed with the Python. As you can see in the image, the left portion is the terminal and the right portion is the code editor. AWS Cloud9 comes with the terminal that includes sudo privileges to the managed Amazon EC2 instance that is hosting your development environment and a pre-authenticated AWS command line interface. This makes it easy for you to quickly run commands and directly access AWS services. So this Cloud9's development environment comes pre-packaged with tooling for over 40 programming languages. This enables you to start writing code for popular application stacks within minutes by eliminating the need to install or configure files, SDKs or any kind of plugins for your development machine. You can quickly start building your project using AWS Cloud9. So basically what you need to remember regarding the Cloud9 is that you have an IDE available within the cloud itself. Also the terminal based access you can get along with it. Next is the Amazon Corretto. It's an Amazon implementation of OpenJDK. But what's that OpenJDK? It's an official reference implementation of a Java standard edition since version SE7. And Corretto comes with the long-term support including performance enhancements and security fixes. With Corretto, you can run the Java applications on Windows and Mac and Linux for no cost at all. Yes, there is no cost for running Amazon Corretto. Amazon Corretto is a production ready distribution of OpenJDK, and it's designed to provide everything that you need to run, create Java applications without any limits. So the concept of Amazon Corretto was born out of an internal need at Amazon itself. The company runs thousands of applications both internally and externally for customers. Yes, and they needed to create a reliable distribution for their developers to use, something that is secure and has standards in terms of documentation and process, and one that is used for all of their applications. So this was released for public use in 2016 and is intended for the companies with similar goals, that is to create Java applications that can scale and run reliably, use the latest security features, and can be fixed in a uniform way within a well-known and commonly used distribution. An example of this can be a new business app for tracking company expenses. Normally, this might require that a company look into open source distributions that are not officially supported as a way to cut down the costs, and then figure out all of the necessary support variables such as patching, endpoint security, and bug fixes on their own. This becomes a two-pronged effort to create the actual app itself and then to figure out how to update and maintain the application. So Amazon Corretto lets you run the same environment in the cloud, on premises, and even on your local machine. Just remember, it has no cost and it will be used for the easy management of your Java applications. Next tool comes is the AWS Cloud Shell. So what's AWS Cloud Shell? It's a browser based shell that makes it easy to securely manage, explore, and interact with your AWS resources. The CLI has the flexibility that the management console can't match. If you need to make repetitive changes, extract information for a report, or just need to make a quick configuration change, CLI will often be the most powerful tool to accomplish this. And other options for running a command line interface will be to run it using Instance Connect, Cloud9, and Jump servers. But all of those requires an easy to instance to be running, and that incurs a cost. How Cloud Shell is different? Because it's different in the case that you can use it anywhere if you have a browser. It's free and requires no setup. It automatically assumes a role based on your IAM identity, even with the federated identities. You even have 1 GB of home drive for persistent storage for each region. So next time when you need to run CLI, remember this amazing option, that is AWS Cloud Shell, because it is letting you run CLI in a very easy way. So let's jump on to our next service, that is AWS Code Artifact. Okay, so it is the next service. It's a fully managed artifact repository service that makes it easy for the organizations of any size to securely store, publish, and share software packages that are used in their software development process. And package repository managers are an integral part of today's development process, of course. Code Artifact is a package repository which is managed by AWS, and it allows for the creation of centralized repositories for sharing software packages that have been approved for use across development teams. A Code Artifact repository contains a set of package versions, each of which maps to a set of assets, and repositories are polyglot. So which means a single repository can contain packages of any supported type. Each repository exposes endpoints for fetching and publishing packages using tools like the NPM CLI, the Maven CLI, or PIP. You can publish artifacts using language native tools such as NPM or Yarn in case of JavaScript, Maven or Gradle in case of Java, or Twine in case of Python, by executing code artifact CLI login command. That's it. And you can retrieve an artifact by doing the same code artifact CLI login command and then doing let's say the command will be like pip install then package name. You can pull packages from the external package repository, for example npm, on the code artifact console. Create a repository with an external connection to pull packages from a public repository such as a npm registry. Okay, so you will understand it better once you work with it. It's just about storing your assets and the software packages which will be used across development teams. All packages that are stored by code artifact are encrypted in transit and at rest. That means you do not even have to worry about the security of your assets. And also, code artifact is beneficial as existing solutions require effort to set up. But code artifact is a very easy to use one. You require minimal configurations, minimal effort, and you will be good to go. So let me show you a diagram for this one. This is a diagram of how code artifact can be used in an organization. You can use a domain to apply permissions across many repositories owned by different AWS accounts. And what is a domain? It makes it easier to manage multiple repositories across an organization, and the access also can be managed through the domain itself. An asset is stored only once in a domain, even if it's available from multiple repositories. You can't create a repository without a domain. When you use a create repository API to create a repository, you must specify a domain name. You cannot move a repository from one domain to another. That's another point. And a repository can be owned by the same AWS account that owns the domain, or a different AWS account. If the owning accounts are different, the repository owning account must be granted the create repository permission on the domain resource. You can do this by adding a resource policy to the domain, which can be done through a command, that is put domain permission policy command. So in the diagram here also you can see code artifact repo can fetch from the public repos. There can be multiple repos, each of them would be associated with the domain, and domains are for easy access controls, as I have just mentioned, and developers can fetch the packages or build processes or CI/CD workflows that can fetch the packages to make use of them. Now let's learn about another service, that is AWS Code Commit. So this will be easy for the easy to understand for the people who understand GitHub. Okay, so it's a version control service that is hosted by AWS that you can use to privately store and manage assets such as documents, source code, and binary files. It is an in-house repository or infrastructure that lets you host or hold the repositories. It basically gives you an environment where you can actually go ahead and commit your code, push it or pull it. It has a lot of features, like it is fully managed, secure, and highly available. Also, it makes the collaboration easy because it is designed for collaborative software development. You can easily commit, branch, and merge your code, allowing you to easily maintain control of your team's projects. It's secure because you can transfer your files to and from code commit using HTTPS or SSH as you prefer. And also it's highly available because code commit stores your repositories in S3 and Amazon DynamoDB. Your encrypted data is redundantly stored across multiple facilities. This architecture increases the availability and durability of your repository data. Also, it allows you to create up to 1000 repositories by default and additional repositories up to 25,000 by request. Also, it supports all the Git commands and work with your existing Git tools as well. So let's move ahead and learn about CI/CD pipeline on AWS. So CI/CD pipeline can be pictured as a pipeline where new code is submitted on one end and tested over a series of stages: source, build, test, staging, and production, and then published as a production ready code. But what exactly is the CI and what exactly is the CD? What is it meaning? CI is a continuous integration, which is a software process in which developers regularly push their code into a central repository, which can be like AWS Code Commit or GitHub. Every code push triggers an automated build followed by the running of tests. The main goal of CI is to discover code issues at an early stage, improve the code quality, and reduce the time that it takes to validate and release new software updates. Then comes a continuous delivery. It's a software process in which artifacts are deployed to the test environment, staging environment, and then to the production environment. Continuous delivery can be fully automated or have approval stage at critical points. If you want some approval stages in between, that is also possible. Then comes a continuous deployment. So when continuous delivery is correctly implemented, developers always have a deployment ready build artifact that has passed through a standardized test processes. Okay, so with continuous development, revisions are deployed to a production environment automatically without any explicit approval from a developer, making the entire software release process automated at all. This allows for a continuous customer feedback loop early in the product lifecycle itself, and with continuous deployment, every change that is committed and passes automated tests is released to the production automatically. So code pipeline is a service that orchestrates all of this. So let's see a example of example scenario for the same thing that we have just learned. So what's the scenario here? Consider an application that is hosted on AWS Code Commit. I want to deploy this web application automatically on every commit. Okay, and the deploy target will be one or more EC2 instances which will have a public DNS where I can view the hosted web application. This can be used as a test or production environment. To obtain this result, code pipeline can be used to create a build and deploy pipeline. So the pipeline can integrate with the source from the code commit, build the solution using AWS code build, and the build result can be deployed to one or more EC2 instances using the code deploy. To improve the performance and scalability, I will use auto scaling group as a deploy target. So we are gonna do something similar in the demo for today's session, and then you will understand it better. Okay, so for now let's look a little deeper into each of this service, and then we will be good to go for the demo. So AWS code build, code deploy, and code pipeline, these are the new things that we are learning here. So AWS code build is a continuous integration service that compiles the source code, runs tests, and produces software packages that are ready to deploy. AWS Code Deploy is a deployment service that automates the software deployments to a variety of compute services such as Amazon EC2, AWS Fargate, AWS Lambda, and your on-premises servers. Next is AWS Code Pipeline. So this is a continuous delivery service that helps you automate your release pipelines for fast and reliable application and infrastructure updates. All of these services are fully managed and they are used for CI/CD automations. So now what we will do, we will quickly build a pipeline. Okay, so what we will do, just an application that will be hosted on EC2 instance, something similar to the one that you have seen in this diagram. The application will be hosted on EC2 instance, and as soon as I update something in my source, what will happen, it will send it to the code deploy. Okay, and code deploy will deploy it to my EC2 instances. So I will be just seeing the changes live in the production environment. I will not be building the code build stage as of now. Okay, I'll be using code pipeline, code commit, code deploy, and the EC2 instances to make it simple. Okay, just to give you an idea for how you can build a CI/CD pipeline. Okay, so let's go to the AWS console. Yeah, here we are into the AWS console. So here what we are gonna do is we will create a pipeline which will be deploying the code that will be maintained in the code commit, and this will be deployed to a single EC2 instance. So the pipeline will be triggered when I push a change to the code commit repository, and the pipeline will deploy the changes to EC2 instance using the code deploy as a code commit as a deployment service. So this pipeline will have two stages. One is source stage stage, and then next is a deploy stage. This is just a two-stage pipeline that I'll be building right now. So first step is to create our source stage that will be created through code commit. So let me search it here itself. Code commit, we will create a repository first. So here I go, just click on create repository. Let's say I give it the name as sample repository, and description is optional, I am skipping it, and click on create. So the repository has been created. Now I can set up a local repository to manage everything locally on my system, or I can do everything from the code commit console itself. So for the purpose of this demo and to keep it simple, I'll be just using the code commit console itself to follow all the steps. So just need to go on the code, and I will now upload some files into my repository. So just click on add file, and you can either create a file or you can upload a file. So for now I'll be uploading a file. I have some sample files, so choose file, and first let me add app spec, and then I just need to give the author name and then some email ID. And here I go. So I will commit these changes. Now this file has been done, one file has been uploaded. I need to add a few more. So just following the same process, going to code, add file, upload file, and then I choose a file, and next file will be index. So I'm adding this. Now just giving the author name and the email address and committing the changes. So here two files has been done. Now let me go back to the code and upload the third file. Now upload file, same process, then choose file, and now the next file I need to add is license. Done. Now just adding the author name and email and committing the changes. So the last one, one folder I need to add. Going back to the code and then click on add file. Now I will click on create file because I just want to add a folder now, so it can't be added directly, but what I have to do, I can give a name like scripts and then the file name, like the file name was install dependencies. So this is done. Author name and email address we will add, and I will paste the contents here. So the contents of this file are this, and now I will add the author name and email, and then let's commit this change. So this also has been done. Now in the scripts folder I will add more files, just two more files to start and stop the server I need. So upload file and then choose a file. So now I will add the install dependencies has been done. Now I will add the start server, then again the same process, and then commit the changes. Just one more file is pending, rest of the things we have already added. Going back to the scripts and click on add file, upload file, and then choose a file. What is left? Only stop server file is left, and then the same process, and then commit the changes. So all the files that I needed, they have been uploaded here in my sample repo. You can see here, this is the files that I have just uploaded. So the next step is to launch an EC2 instance, but before even launching an EC2 instance, I need to create an IAM role. So I'll go to the IAM console and I will create an IAM role which will be used with my EC2 instance for code deploy. So just let it open, and here are we. So click on roles and then click on create role. Select EC2 here and then click next permissions. For permissions I need to find EC2 for, okay, let me find it with the name of code deploy itself. yes, this one I need to select EC2 role for AWS code deploy. So this one I'll click on next, add tags. I will skip as of now. Then click on review and I will name it as EC2 for code deploy. This is fine, and click on create role. Now the role has been created. Next step will be to launch an EC2 instance. Okay, so let's go to the EC2 console now, and we will launch an EC2 instance where the application will be hosted. So let's create an EC2 instance. Go to the launch instance directly and click on launch instance. So we will launch a Linux EC2 instance. Select the Linux to AMI, and the t2.micro is fine for our demo, and configure instance details. Here nothing much we do not need to change, just the IAM role that we have just created, EC2 for code deploy, and user data I have, which will install the code deploy agent on my EC2 instance. Okay, so I need to install the code deploy agent so that code deploy can deploy the latest code to my EC2 instances. So this user data will install the code deploy agent. Click on add storage. This is default is fine, and then add tags. So I will add a tag here, name, and EC2 for my, I will say EC2 for my pipeline. Okay, and then click on configure security group. I will create a new security group here. So SSH is fine. I need HTTP as well because I'll be accessing the application. So let it be anywhere for now. And yes, this is fine. Review and launch. Yeah, then click on launch. So I will proceed without a key pair because I do not need as of now for this demo. So click on launch instances. Within just few seconds my instance will be ready to use. The instance is ready. Now what I have to do, I need to create an application in code deploy. So before I go to code deploy, let me go to IAM because I again need an IAM role for that. So going back to IAM, and let me create a new role that I'll be using for code deploy. So here I click on roles and then create role. So for the use case, I'll be selecting code deploy and then click on next, permissions. So here I need to select this one. Okay, this has come by default and I am okay with this. Next, add tags. Tags I can leave empty. Click on review. Yes, this is fine. I can name it as code deploy role. This is fine, and click on create role. So now this role has been created. Now I can go back to the code deploy console and create an application there. So I just need to go to the code deploy and here I go. I will create an application in the code deploy console. So here go to the applications and then click on create application. Let me name it as sample app, and the platform, what is that? We are using an EC2 instance, so we have to select the first one, then click on create application. So the application has been created. Now I will have to create a deployment group. So deployment group is nothing but a resource that will define the deployment related settings like which instances to deploy and how fast to deploy them. So click on create deployment group and name it something. Let's say sample deployment group. Okay, and then select a service role, code deploy role, the one that we just created. So there are a few deployment types with the code deploy. This is out of scope as of now, so we can leave it as the by default itself. The in place deployments we can leave it as it is. Then in the environment configuration we will select EC2 instances. So if you remember, we gave it a tag. This was the reason that I gave it a tag, because I have to search it here with the tag itself, name, and what was the EC2 for my pipeline. It was the value for this tag. And then other settings, I can leave it as default, and here one at a time, the deployment settings I am choosing for one at a time. And then I can disable the load balancer settings as of now, because I do not need it right now. Now click on create deployment group. So my deployment group has also been created. Next step is to create the pipeline in the code pipeline. As you can see here, multiple stages are there. Source, artifacts can be managed through the code artifact, build stage can be managed through code build, source stage through the code commit, deploy stage through the code deploy, and pipeline through the code pipeline. So here we are working with source stage, deploy stage, and a pipeline to orchestrate all these things. So clicking on pipelines, and I click on create pipeline. So here I give a name to the pipeline, sample pipeline, and new service role I want to create. And yeah, advanced settings, let me see. This I can leave it as default and click on next. The service role name already exists. Okay, so I can say sample pipeline 1 and click on next. Source provider, who is the source provider? It's the code commit. What repository is there? Sample repo. If you remember, we created this. What's the branch? It was a main branch. And this change detection options I can leave default and click on next. So build stage, I do not want the build stage to be deployed here in this demo. So I can skip the build stage, and yes, I want to skip. I can't skip the deploy stage, okay, because the pipelines should have at least 2 stages. So we have source stage, we have deploy stage. For the deploy, what is our service that we are using? Code deploy, and region is fine. Application name, sample application. What's the deployment group? Sample deployment group, and click on next. Okay, so review all of these things. I am okay with this and click on create pipeline. So soon, okay, a policy called, okay, let me change the policy name here. Let me go back. Where was the policy? I have done this earlier, so maybe because of that it is not accepting the same name. So for the sake of simplicity, what I am doing here, I am using that existing service role itself, which I created earlier. So I click on next now, and everything else as it is. Then going to the deploy stage, then review, and then create pipeline. Now the pipeline will be created. Okay. So again, because of that role itself, the issue is coming. So what I will do, I will go to IAM, I will delete the role that I created earlier before the video. So then the name will be available and we will be able to go ahead. So let me quickly delete that and I'll be back here. So I have deleted that role, and now I have started the process again. So again I will try to create pipeline, and now I think this time it should create. Again the policy issue is there. Okay, I think I need to delete the policy itself. I deleted the role. Now let me delete the policy also. So this time I have deleted the role as well as the policy that was creating the issue. Now let me try this time, and hopefully this time it should work. The pipeline should be created because there is no issue with the role and policy now. Great. So the pipeline this time has been created. Just the role and the policy issue was there because they were already existing and the duplicate names were not allowed. So now you can see here the source stage is there, the deploy stage is also there. Okay, so the source stage has been exceeded. What it is doing, it is fetching the code from the code commit. Okay, it is downloading the code from the code commit, and then it is sending that to code deploy. Code deploy, what it will do, it will deploy deploy to my EC2 instance. So till then, let me go back to my EC2 instances and get the IP address for my EC2 instance so that I can check if the application has been deployed there or not. Okay, it is succeeded. Now I just need to verify that deployment. So here I go to my EC2 instance and copy this public IP address, and I will paste it in a new tab, and yes, here it is. The application has been deployed using the code deploy. This was what was there in the index.html. So what I will do next to show you is just go to the source, go to the repositories, and here we go to the repositories. Click on our repository, and then let me open index.html, and I will replace the content of this file with the new contents. Okay, so just changing the content of this file. Let me remove this part, and what I will write, I have deployed the changes to my application, updated the sample deployment. Yes, this is fine. Now adding the author name and email address. So here I go, I commit the changes, and I will go back to my pipeline. So soon it will be in progress once this is like committed. So soon it will come into the progress. So you can see here the source has been downloaded very quickly, and deploy is now it is deploying, and we will be able to see the changes here itself without making any changes anywhere else. So deploy is in progress, and as soon as it is succeeded, we will be able to see the changes there. Okay, it has also been succeeded. Now let me refresh this. Yes, the changes have been deployed here automatically. So what I did, I just changed in the source content. Okay, I changed the contents of the source file, and this code pipeline automatically fetched the updated contents from the code commit, and then it sent the contents to the code deploy, and code deploy deployed the contents to my EC2 instances, sorry, only single EC2 instance, and then the application was updated in the production environment itself. So this can be very useful in your development projects. So this was just how to set up a simple CI/CD pipeline with the 2 stages. You can add 4 stages. You can add based on your requirement. You can add the build stage also, the artifacts if you want to fetch something from here. Okay, so multiple things can be done, but simply if you want to create a pipeline, this was the process for how you can build that. Now let's get back to the slides. Now let's get back to our next service, that is AWS CodeStar. So it's a service that is offered by Amazon that facilitates the creation, management and working with software development projects on AWS. Users will gain the ability to quickly develop, build and deploy the applications on AWS with the CodeStar project. It provides a unified user interface which enables you to easily manage your software development activities at one place itself. And CodeStar can be used to set up application development in the cloud. Okay, and then CodeStar project can be used to create and integrate Amazon services with the user's project development toolchain. Based on the CodeStar project template that is chosen by the user, the toolchain will include source control, build, deployment, virtual servers in case the servers are needed, or serverless resources and other resources. CodeStar integrates with code build, code commit as well as code pipeline. So let me show you a little bit of how it looks like. So CodeStar offers you a lot of features like project templates which you can use to quickly start access management through IAM as AWS CodeStar, and also it allows you to share your projects using 3 levels of access: owners, contributors and viewers. So CodeStar will accelerate the software release with the help of AWS code pipeline, and based on the stages that you define, it will be visible there. because a CodeStar project includes a unified dashboard, so you can easily track and manage your end-to-end development tool chain. With the project dashboard that you can see on the screen here, you manage your activity centrally for your CI/CD pipeline, such as code commits, build tests and deployments, and take remedial action wherever and whenever needed. This you can see here on the screen as well. So this was about CodeStar. Just remember that it's a unified dashboard for all your development tasks. Okay, next service that we have is AWS X-Ray. So this is for the debugging of your applications. Okay, it helps developers analyze and debug the production distributed applications, such as those which are built using a microservices architecture. It traces user requests as they travel through your entire application, and it aggregates the data generated by the individual services and provides end-to-end view of everything, and that lets you understand how your application is working and its underlying resources services are performing, so that you can identify and troubleshoot the root cause of the performance issue and the errors. With X-Ray's tracing feature, you can follow a request path to pinpoint where in your application and what is causing the performance issues. And X-Ray works with various services like Amazon EC2, EC2 Container Service, simply the Container Service ECS, then Lambda, SQS, SNS, and Elastic Beanstalk. So this was about all the services that was there for today's session. And to summarize, Correcto is for implementation of OpenJDK, basically for better management of Java applications. Cloud9 is a cloud-based IDE. Cloud Shell, browser-based shell where you can run CLI. Code Artifact, artifact repository service. Then Code Commit, source control service. Code Build is a continuous integration service which will run the tests. Code Deploy, a deployment service. Then Code Pipeline, continuous delivery service which orchestrates multiple stages of your CI/CD. And then CodeStar, which is a unified interface to manage development activities. And then X-Ray for distributed tracing, okay, for troubleshooting, debugging and tracing. Okay, so that's it for this video. I hope you have gained a lot of knowledge and you have understood all the development tools that we have discussed today. So we will meet in the next video. Thank you.